McNair gives it to George, running right up the middle. Touchdown! Titans! There are no flags on the field! It's a miracle!
Safety, now you're one-on-one with it.
Shows why he's the man! In trouble. Sack!
Ladies and gentlemen, Titan Nation, welcome back to another episode of Mr. Titan. Today, my special guest is a two-time Super Bowl winner, and most importantly, he was one of the very best to wear the two-tone blue. We have number 85, Nate Washington. What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up, man? I appreciate the little introduction. That was dope. I appreciate that.
Of course, man. You got even though they were with the Steelers, and we'll talk a little bit about the Steelers. You paid your dues, man. You paid your dues.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Respect.
Yeah, 100%. So let's just dive right into it, man. All right.
Okay.
Going from you growing up, you went to Scott High School, right? And Toledo.
Yeah.
In Toledo.
Yep.
Tell me, man, because again, in high school, like I played ball and stuff, but I was never first team all area and honorable mention and all state senior. How did that feel? How was that? I mean, you must have been walking through the school like you owned it, didn't you?
Well, let's go here. All right. I think this is going to be a pretty good show for you. Let's go here. Okay. So actually numbers do lie.
Oh.
Okay. Because I got those accolades my senior year in high school. But the funny thing is, we ran a wishbone offense.
Okay.
So I was getting maybe 3 passes thrown my way a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was outrageous. But I would always come out of it and I'll maybe catch a post for like 70 yards. Or it was a couple of times I may have took a hitch for like 50 plus yards. So my numbers were actually higher than what they actually were. We weren't that good. We were a band of brothers. Don't get me wrong. It was a great experience with those guys, but it was an inner city school. A lot of our coaches, unfortunately, was more so worried about keeping us off the streets more than knowing X and O's. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciated the experience. I obviously, like you stated, had a couple of accolades, but they lie. The numbers lie, man. I was blessed enough to be put in a position to do enough to get actually interest from a couple colleges in the area. And once that happened, that's how I was able to get stuff.
Oh, gotcha. And how was growing up in Toledo? How was that?
Oh man, my high school was crazy, man. Scott High School in Toledo is one of the most prominent schools in Toledo, especially at that time. All the kids wanted to go there. I don't care if you stayed out in the suburbs or nothing. Like, all of the kids wanted to go there. Everybody wanted to be around the situation. And it was dope. I went to school with all the friends that I grew up in my neighborhood. I obviously, when you're in grade school, middle school, and then high school, you basically just go through the trajectory of the school that's in your area. Yeah. And that's what it was. That experience was dope, man. Growing up with all my friends, being in high school, it was kind of crazy at times. It was an inner city school, but in the same sense, that actually helped to grow me into the man that I am today. That experience of having to make sure, nobody gonna punk you, and seeing some of the craziest things I've seen, in high school and during those times, it makes you actually be aware and cognizant of your surroundings at all times. It makes you be respectable and humble when you're around people, and not be arrogant and crazy, because, that's when people want to get you, So it was a lot of learning things that I learned from it, but it was great, man. Scott High School is definitely the foundation of who I am.
All right. Now, you said that numbers lie. Now, okay. So you said numbers lie, but okay, when you're repping the shirt right now, Tiffin University. Now, I mean, 8 individual receiving records. Is that numbers lie, or is that fact?
No, those numbers don't lie at all. that
Okay.
is what it is. Like
Okay,
that actually happened.
let me
Yeah.
hold you for a second and let me introduce those numbers for you, brother. All right,
Okay.
let's
All
do
right.
that because again,
All right.
it's crazy. You hold 8 individual Dragon receiving records, receptions in a game 13, yards in a game 299, receptions in a season 70, yards in a season 1,428, touchdowns in a season 16, career receptions 212, career yards 4,214, and career TD receptions 47.
Yeah,
Damn.
man. It was an incredible time, man. I was blessed. I was really in a situation where I was a late bloomer. Coming out of high school, I didn't get many Division I college interests. I remember going on a visit to Michigan State, and for another guy that they wanted from our team, and them
Okay.
telling our coach like, "Okay, cool. Well, these are other guys you want to get looked at. Maybe they can walk on." And at the time, I'm like, "Walk on? What is walk on? Like, I don't know nothing about that." So my mom had, we had received a couple letters at home and a couple interests from a couple smaller schools, NAIA schools that were, giving tours while also working guys out. We weren't going there and doing 7-on-7s or anything like that, but we were running like 40s. They would take us through a couple catching drills. We would do vertical jump, and those type of things. And I had been in like 3 different places at the time, just my mom trying to get me in school. And
Mhm.
my uncle Ronnie was my chauffeur at the time. Me and my mom didn't have really adequate, driving vehicle that she could get me from a little bit more distance. So my uncle was the one that was actually driving me from school to school, making sure I had these tryouts. And I got to Tiffin, man. And to be honest with you, it was just a normal day for me. I just ran my 40, did my vertical jump, did my little catching drills. And I didn't think anything of it. But there was a coach there at the time and that absolutely fell in love with me. He was the offensive coordinator at the time. His name was Nathan Cole. And it was funny because through that whole process, I'm a kid. I don't really know what's going on. I don't even really know what to expect. And, to be honest, coming up in my family, coming up in my environment in Toledo, we didn't really have that guidance. Too many people that knew about that path of what was going on and how it was going on and those type of things and what to expect.
Mhm.
So essentially, I was really handling all those things mentally by myself, just trying to be like, okay, cool. When the school come and they offer me, I'm just gonna take the scholarship because my mom was adamant. She was like, "Hey, you getting out of here? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
time to grow up." So, man, sure enough, I got to Tiffin because the coach Nathan Cole had grew a great relationship with my mom and stayed in contact with her because he knew she was the one really calling the shots. And man, I'm sitting in class one day. Next thing I know, I'm getting called out of my class by my teacher telling me to go down to the counselor office. I get down there, the counselor's clapping and shit. Oh, am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, bro, you can do whatever you
Oh,
want.
okay. I just thought you were telling.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, I get in there, they clapping and shit. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why is everybody clapping? And I get around the corner to my counselor's office, and my mom was sitting there like, hey, you about to sign this letter. So
yeah.
that's how I got there. And when I got there, those people, it was so fitting. Like I said, I was a late bloomer, so that skill level was right at where I needed to start. But then rapidly, I started getting better and better. I started growing. I started getting faster. I started getting stronger. And man, when you talk about those numbers, I say all that to say I was just put in the perfect situation where I had a coach that cared about me, a
Mhm.
university with on the level that I was ready for, a mom that was pushing me in a direction that I really didn't even know if I was really ready for. Playing football on the next level was never really my dream. And then the quarterback, man, Ryan Harpo, man, at the time, we kind of grew up together. He was a red shirt freshman and I was a true freshman. And once he got his shot, man, I'm talking about this dude was an assassin with the football. He was able to get me the ball in every and any position, no matter whether they were double teaming me or triple teaming me. He was definitely a sharpshooter when it came to throwing the ball for me and giving me an opportunity to make plays. So the numbers that you speak about, everything kind of tied in together. It was just a perfect situation.
Well, that's awesome, man. And you were saying a little bit earlier just now that maybe that it wasn't. What was when you got out of high school? Was football your main goal? What was it if it wasn't football?
Man, I tell everybody it's just surprisingly, a lot of people will be like, well, especially even when it comes to the Super Bowl, I'm sure you grew up dreaming of this, and I'm sure this is what you wanted forever. You worked so hard to get here. I didn't. Like, I never had the dreams of the NFL. I hated getting hit when I played Little League football. I actually, when I went to high school, my freshman year, I actually didn't even show up to practice. All my friends were going to practice, and at that point, I was like, "Oh, I'm done with football," because I hated getting hit. Now I'm going to high school, and I'm like, "Oh, they really gonna be teeing off on me. I'm cool, right?" So my mom always says this, but even as a kid, you want me to do something, tell me I'm not gonna do it. Tell me I can't do it, and I'm gonna do it. And it just so happened that we had got a new coach at the high school as a varsity coach, and he came up. I was working at a summer pool at the public pool, and he came up to my job with the freshman coach. And the freshman coach was telling him like, "Hey, yeah, we need to get this kid. Like, let's talk to him. Blah 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 blah. We need to persuade him to get him to come to practice." So the head coach sees me. He like, I don't need him. Like, he can stay right here at the pool. Don't. He said this in front of me. His name is Matt Davis. He said this in front of me, and I'm looking at him, and the freshman coach his name is Coach Pig. So I look at Coach Pig. He like, so he give me that look back like. So they leave my job that next day, right? I mean that day, right? That next day I'm at practice, right? Head coach Matt Davis comes up to me and he just tells me like, "Hey, if you ain't come to practice today, I was coming back to your job. You did exactly what I expected you to." And that's just kind of like a testament to my NFL career. I was always put in this position to compete. I was always put in a position to kind of have somebody, the chip stacked against me. I was at Tiffin, but my competition was my chip stacked against me every time we had an opportunity to play. So as much as the NFL wasn't in my dreams, it was always my passion to compete and prove people wrong. So by the time I got the shot leaving Tiffin and going to Pittsburgh, I'm like, oh, I know, like, I never thought that this was going to happen, but I'm not going home. Like, by no means. Like, I know that they don't expect me to be here. At the time, we had a fourth round draft pick. And man, I remember respectfully, I remember like in spring him showing me his check, his signing bonus stuff. And I'm sitting there like, oh, you think shit sweet. Like, you gonna show me that money? Like, and that's basically how I got an 11-year NFL career. Every time I felt like somebody was thinking that I couldn't, I was gonna prove them that I could. I was gonna prove them wrong every single time.
Perfect. And I mean, look, two-time Super Bowl champion, man. I proven enough people wrong, my brother. You're good, and I said you proved all the doubters wrong, man.
I appreciate it.
Let's talk a little bit about the NFL draft. I mean, you were again what 2005 undrafted
Yes.
free
Yeah.
agent. Pittsburgh Steelers pick you up. Now I've talked to several wide receivers that were undrafted. Like I talked to a Drew Bennett, and he talked about how his comings about being undrafted and having that chip on your shoulder, especially being an undrafted free agent. I mean, a wide receiver coming into a team that might have their wide receiver core set up. How'd you feel getting into a chance with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and again playing with that chip on your shoulder again, just like you said before?
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, I tell everybody, man, Pittsburgh and that roster, that coaching staff, the front office, the environment in that locker room, in that organization was the best thing for me. Coming from Tiffin, man, as much confidence I had in myself to, be able to play football, at the same time, I'm coming from Tiffin University. And I played at Tiffin University in October of one year.
Mm-hmm.
In April, May of the very next year, I'm lining up against Troy Polamalu.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so those type of things was a shock for me. I had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove myself, but I'll be remorse to sit here and say, like, I just stepped in there like I was a big dog. No, my head was swiveling. Mm-hmm. But I had veterans, and especially at that time with that receiver room, Plexico had just left. So I knew that there was going to be an opportunity to showcase some talent there.
Mhm.
Was I completely confident at the time that I was going to make the roster? No, but I knew I wasn't going home.
Mhm.
So it was like a double entendre or oxymoron type of situation. Like as scared as I was, I knew I belonged.
Right.
But that locker room in itself, Hines, Casey Hampton, Willie Parker, Joey Porter, like for instance, my rookie year, they're placing the receivers with the receivers, everybody's in
Yeah.
their group together. Man, my rookie year, my locker is in the corner with the linebacker. So I'm in there with Joy Porter, Larry Foote, James Harrison, Tyrone Carter. And when I tell you every day coming to my locker is daggone there like a fight to get to my locker because they was going to bully you, especially Foote was from Detroit. I'm from Toledo. So he used to take it upon him like he just trying to little brother me all the time. But
Mhm.
at the same time, it made me feel apart. Like them picking with me, them giving me the hard time that they did. I watched them ignore other people. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. I watched them ignore so many people in that locker room, to the point where they would come pick me up on weekends to hang out. And I remember we stayed in a rookie apartment building. They put us up springtime, so we don't have to pay for no, that's what they do. So when they coming to get me, Willie Parker and these guys coming to get me, the other rookies in their room, like, hey, where you going? I'm like, shoot, I don't know that. I'm going to hang out with them. So as nervous as I was to be there, man, those guys made me feel apart immediately. They realized that I had some talent. They realized that I'm coming from a small school, and it was going to take them instilling encouragement, confidence, and belief into me to know that I could be an asset to that team, and that's how that worked out, man.
Nice, nice. Now, working with the Steelers and the wide, who did you gravitate more towards in the locker room? Like maybe like a wide receiver that kind of helped you out.
No, it was a defensive tackle, Casey Hampton.
There you
To
go.
this
Okay.
day, to this day, Casey Hampton is my big brother. I rep him as my big brother all the time. There was at the beginning of it, my rookie year, it was
Mhm.
crazy because he's originally from a same place, same area that my grandmother lived.
Okay.
So at first, I was going up to him like, "Hey man, you from Gallatin? My grandmother lived in Lamarck, man. I'm down there all the time." Like, da da da. He basically was like, he didn't do this, but he basically was like,
Yeah.
get the fuck out my face." And I'm like, dang. So I remember going down there in my rookie year, right before the season started, and I told him before I left, I got his number, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna hit you up, see if you got some spots I can hang out at while I'm down there." And I hit him up, and he ain't answered. Right. So we get back to training camp and I see him. I'm like, what's good? I was in Houston. He like, oh my bad, da da da. Right.
Uh-huh.
When I made the roster, I'll never forget this. When I made the roster, everybody went in, whoever made the roster, we went on and hung out that night. And he came up to me, he was like, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. He was like, I was keeping my distance because I can get attached to people. And I see so many people come in and out. He was like, I feel like you're a real genuine dude. He was like, I'm gonna let you know from now on. Now I know you here, you got me for life. And when I tell you to this day, when I go to Houston, I don't get no hotel. I don't get no car. I go stay with him. I save
That's
my money and
dope.
I go
That's
stay with
cool.
him.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, to this day, he's shown me a lot, man. He's helped me grow as a man. He holds me accountable when nobody else probably can hold me accountable. I know he's a few years older than me, but I look up to him because of his integrity. His integrity. He takes care of his family. He's an honorable dude. He takes care of the people that's around him. He calls people out when they need to be called out, but he also praises people when they need praise. So I learned a lot from him, you know what I'm saying? But that dude in itself would definitely be probably my biggest connection from that time. But to be honest with you, like I said, all of those guys in that locker room, I'm surprised still at the time of where I've come from and where our relationships are today. It still surprises me that I get texts and calls from Troy Polamalu and Jerome Bellis and those guys randomly just checking on me. So I think that's pretty dope, man. And I would cherish that forever.
I mean, that's amazing to have, especially people just to check in and just say, hey man, just seeing how you're doing. How's your family? How are you?
Right.
And
Right.
that's something cool. And like I said, a Super Bowl win, that's something that no one's ever gonna take that way. That group of guys that won that Super Bowl, and it's a brotherhood, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely was a long road, but we accomplished two of them, man. It's crazy. My 20th year reunion is coming up next year, giving my age away. But my 20th year reunion is coming up next year for our first one. And I just was speaking of him, like, dog, did you ever would have think like 10 years after being retired almost that we'd be sitting around talking about the Super Bowl we experienced? So definitely grateful for those experiences, man.
Definitely, man. All right, now enough Steeler talk. It was good. It was good.
Okay,
Good, man.
let's get to it now, Two-Tone. I know why we here.
There we go.
Like,
That's
like
what we're here
Marshawn
for.
said, you know why I'm here, baby.
Exactly. Now, when you went to the Titans, all right, man, I was just thinking about, because I was trying to get some of the highlights. I'm like, man, you've played with so many QBs for the Tennessee Titans. It is wild. I was trying to name them. I was like, you had, and then, again, this is not going by order, but like you had Vince Young, yeah, Kerry Collins at one point. No, yeah.
Yes.
You had Jake Locker. You had Matt Hasselbeck. No.
Matt Hasselbeck, yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
That's 5 already. That you've gone through what the average Tennessee Titans fan has gone through almost, man.
Well, let me take you further. You forgetting Rusty Smith.
Oh, God.
You forgetting Zach Mettenberger.
Zach Mettenberger.
You're forgetting what's my guy named Clipboard Jesus. Charlie Whitehurst. I had Charlie Whitehurst start a couple games.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting somebody, but I know there's at least like one more guy that I'm forgetting that I definitely had some experience with.
That's wild just to think about that already. But can you break down the situation of what happened and how you ended up with the Tennessee Titans and your honest opinion on going to the Tennessee Titans?
My honest opinion? Okay, great. Let's get into it.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
So once again, leaving Pittsburgh, like I'm still in I'm in the NFL mode, right? They're ranking me like the number 2 free agent at the time, receiver at the time. But I'm really like, I don't even understand what this shit means for real. I'm like, okay, so I'm coming in Pittsburgh, my 4th year there. Everybody know I'm leaving. Like I remember at the beginning of the season, Hans was like, hey, you go have you a good season because after this, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be up for your bread. And he was like, I'm telling you right now, you're gonna put enough on the field that if you sign back here and be a number 3 here, I'm smacking you every day. Like he told me that, like straight up. So in all honesty, I'm looking for the money. You know what I'm saying? And first, I will never forget, I can't remember exactly what the date was, but I remember the day. And it was a Thursday night, and free agency started Friday morning at 12 o'clock a.m. So I'm sitting at the crib and I'm playing Rock Band with my homeboys. That was our joint. You know what I'm saying? We on Rock Band.
Yeah, man, Rock Band. All right, man.
I'm the lead guitar. I got to get right. So my phone started ringing, like my phone rung and I ignored it. It rang like 2 more times from a 412 area code. So I'm like, who from Pittsburgh is calling me right now? And it was like 10:30 at night. So I answered, it's Mike Thomas. He like, hey, I just wanted to holler at you for free agency start. He was like, congratulations. I'm pretty sure you about to sign for some nice money. He was like, but I had to call to tell your tale for you leave out of here how proud I am of you. And I was like, oh, man, that's dope. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was like, I appreciate it. So, boom, no lie. I get off the phone with him at 10:30, 12:03 or something like that. My phone rang, my agent. Hey, Detroit just called. You're going to be on in a car because I was in Toledo. You're gonna be they sending a limo down to get you at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, hold on, like it's 1:05 in the like I'm sleepy. Like what? Can't complain. So boom, we get there, and long story short, they offered me a contract that got approved by everybody, but the owner, he was the only one that declined. They had just played a couple other receivers at the time that didn't work out. Won't mention those names. So they had just paid a couple other major receivers some money and it didn't work out. So they made mention to my agent that they, as bad as they wanted me and as bad as I would fit in, the owner wasn't trying to spend that much money on a receiver at the time. Cool. I live out of there that Friday. When I get home that Friday evening, my agent calls me, hey, you're going to Tennessee tomorrow. After that, you got this, that, and the third. It was like, I think it was like San Diego and it was like two more other teams at the time. They had already scheduled me to come in that next week.
Now, did you have something with your agent like, hey, these are kind of the teams I'm looking for, or you're like, hey,
Nah,
let's just
I'm
see.
looking for that money, baby.
Yeah, let's look.
Whoever
Okay,
offering that money, yeah. Whoever offering that money, because honestly, at that time, to be transparent with you, I had won 2 rings.
Okay.
I believed in myself enough to no matter where I went, I was going to be successful. I just had, to be honest with you, I wasn't even really thinking about a quarterback to play with. That was out of my ballpark. I'm looking for who wants me and who gonna sign me up for some money. Like I said, well, let me tell you this. You got to also understand where I'm coming from. My signing bonus, my rookie year coming in as an undrafted free agent rookie, I took home $1,700 after taxes. You feel what I'm saying? Right. So at this point, like I'm really looking at it like, oh wow, they telling me the numbers that's possible for me in my sign. I'm like, oh, let's do it. So when
Okay.
we get to Tennessee, and I get to Tennessee, and I ain't gonna lie, I was shocked at the love that I was receiving. What is the name of the soul food restaurant down the street of the practice facility? It used to have one in the airport as well. Sweets.
It might be.
Okay, no. I think it's. Look, and I'm pretty sure your followers are gonna let you know.
They'll let you know.
Yeah,
They'll let you know.
I think the name of the restaurant is Sweets, but the coaches, we got there, we're talking, we're having a good meeting, and the coaches, the receiver coach, Coach Graves at the time, and there was another coach. They were like, "Hey, we're gonna take you to lunch. Go down to the restaurant down the street. It's called Sweets." So no lie, man, we walk in, and they must have gone there often because there was a couple regulars that were in there. And they look at my coaches and they like, hey man, what's up with that receiver that's coming in? Like, you think we're gonna be able to sign him? And I'm standing there and I'm looking at him like, y'all talk about me right now. Like, hold on, right? So I'm like, oh, this is pretty dope. So sure enough, me and Coach Fisher had hit it off, immediately. He was such a player's coach. He knew exactly what to say to me at the time. And at that time, it started to dawn on me what that team had looked like. I'm like, okay, hold on, wait. They do got Vince Young. Wait, they do got Chris Johnson. They got Lindell White. They got Boscave. I'm like, they got 2 nice tackles right now. I'm like, hold on, maybe this is nice. You know what I mean? And that's I sit in the building, I'm starting to think like, okay, well, hopefully these numbers work out because I would love to stay here, right? So sure enough, they had sat me in a little side room. They told me they were going to work the numbers with my agent. And I remember getting that phone call from my agent and telling me what the numbers were and telling me that would probably be my biggest deal that someone will offer me. And I was like, hey, there's no hesitation. Let's do it, man. I was excited. I started off being excited about the opportunity to get paid, to be honest.
Okay.
But when I left the building that day, I was excited about the opportunity to be a part of that organization. Like, it was so dope how they treated me, the coaching staff and everybody that I met. I loved the way the building that was set up at the time, although it was very small at the time compared to what it is now. But, I appreciated the energy and whoever those people were that was sitting in suites that day, you guys put the cherry on the top for me when I walked in and they asked about me, not knowing that I was standing there. I knew that this was a place that I could come and be involved in the community and I would get the same love back.
And man, like I said, to this day, man, you come to Tennessee and everyone loves you, man.
I appreciate it.
The effort you put in the field, the blood and sweat and tears, man. Like I said, everyone in Tennessee still loves you, man. Like I said,
I appreciate it.
Top receivers, man. And let's talk a little bit about your teammates for that year. Your first year being with the Tennessee Titans. Like you said, you got Vince Young, Chris Johnson, Bo Scaife, which I had on. Love Bo. Bo's the man. Landon, all these guys. Now, at this time, not the receiving corps. Who did you gravitate? Who was the first one? Like you said before, you said in Pittsburgh.
It was funny, man. It was funny, man, because I remember my first week in the locker room. I'm coming in once again, coming from Tiffin. You don't change teams that have a lot of experience with guys, even competing against them in college. That's the thing in the locker room. A lot of times those competitions in college build relationships. You know, Lindell talking to one of the Ohio State players, they can build an understanding on how they used to compete in those things. But I'm coming from Tiffin, so I don't really know nobody like that. I'm coming in strictly as the new free agent that's trying to catch a field. And I come in, man, and no lie, I'm sitting there very first day. I'm sitting there, we getting ready for workouts. And you know, the guys are speaking to me and whatever. But he come in, VY come in. He comes straight up to me, dap me up. What's up, man? He talking to me like we grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's kind of blowing me away, right? This was like a Monday workout. Well, Wednesday, Thursday workout, he come up to me like, hey, what you got going on this weekend? I'm like, nah, I ain't got nothing going on. He like, all right, you going to Houston with me? I'm like, man, like that's cool with me. I ain't tripping, like, but from day one, man, you know, VY, I ain't gonna lie, man. VY is a person that you don't experience much. You know, he stands for so much, in my opinion, that it's got him unfair criticism because of who he is. Man, it's hard to meet people like that, man. He's a very genuine, down to earth dude. I understand, you know, the things that have happened, you know, throughout his career and the things that have been said about him. But I can guarantee you, if people had an opportunity to sit down and VY, and I'm talking about, he's one of my only friends that I've been able to walk into a room with every and any demographic, nationality, any place, person from any walk of life, and will immediately connect with them. Like that, he has that type of understanding. And man, it was dope to be able to have the opportunity to, you know, meet him, especially at a pivotal time in his life, trying to turn that thing over and get to his second contract, man. We had a very good time, and to this day, and just like him, my brother, you know, definitely my brother. I know it's probably gonna get some back, you know what I'm saying, from a lot of the other guys because we all are brothers, but VY will probably be the one that stand out the most.
Definitely VY. And that whole, again, I know one of the viewers had a question about VY and his situation. What's your understanding on that situation with, you know, him and Jeff? Was there animosity? Was there beef? What was, if you don't mind explaining?
Yeah, I got you. I'm very respectable, right? So
100%.
I can tell you enough. You know what I mean? I can tell you enough. From my understanding, though, prior to me even getting there, you know, they kind of had their core. You know, Fish felt the way he felt about VY, from my understanding, which caused VY to feel a way about Fish. You know, respectfully. You know, everybody might not be your cup of tea. You know, that's cool. But you know, I think they did their best to be working colleagues. You know, they did their best throughout that time of Vince initially being drafted up until I got there, prior to what I know of being working colleagues. You know, understanding that they both had a job to do, despite of how they may have felt personally, and they both were going to show up to do exactly that job. You know, as much as, you know, things may have been said about VY and his want to, but like I said, once again, I don't know too many people that had the much will that he had to not only compete but win. You know, a lot of people, like, I'm gonna speak even by myself. I don't mind losing a game, taking a game with a loss. You know, I understand these losses build me sometimes, so I understand my losses. But VY is one of those Tom Brady, I need to win guys. You know, so I respected that about him. And I think, you know, it just became to a point. It's like a dam. You know, the levee breaks. You know, I think the water just ran over at a point with both of them, whereas some of the things Fish may have took from VY, he wasn't taking anymore, and vice versa. So VY wasn't no longer just cool with sitting back and taking, you know, the criticism without feeling the support that he needed. And in a lot of ways, Fish felt like he was getting more than enough support, you know. So it was a difference of opinions, and I'll say when it hit the fan, it hit the fan. You know what I'm saying? It was both the breaking point for both of those guys, and they both were fed up with each other personally, if I'm honest. And some things occurred that I feel like didn't have to occur from both
Mhm.
ends. I think, looking back, at some of the things that I experienced with the situation when it blew up, that I wish both of them would have handled it differently, respectfully, but in the heat of that moment, I can't say what I would have done.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at, how it panned out and here aftermath that I wish it could have dissolved a lot better than what it did. But definitely two different worlds, two different opinions, and two different differences on each other.
Now, between both of them, you felt like within that situation, it kind of divided the team. Did it bring the team closer together? How did that throughout the locker?
Alex, man, we ain't pay that shit no mind. It didn't matter to us, man.
Okay,
We
okay.
like it
Mhm.
was, in my opinion, it was such a personal issue between those two that
Was
you'll
there?
be remorsed. Yeah, you would be remorse to jump in there and take a side. Like
Okay.
either way, like we were just going out to do our job. We would never really be sitting around talking about it. We never talked to VY about it. We never heard. Well, let me say this. Me personally, I
Mhm.
never heard Fish talking about VY. So it wasn't nothing to pick a side on. We understood that, especially in that working environment where you're a team, you have a job to do to add to the success of this team. When somebody got a personal dispute, especially in that situation, head coach player is
Mhm.
different from player. You might have be like, hey, bro, let's talk right quick.
Mhm.
We need to squash this because we got to work together. You might do that with player to player, but on that level, especially when a lot of those beefs come with business decisions that are being made.
Exactly.
You can't put yourself in between that. So we ain't care. We went out to compete. We definitely, we definitely felt better some days with VY playing than some of the other options that were presented to us. We definitely would have a little more juice when he would get in there because we knew what he was capable of. But it wasn't picking a side in their beef or anything like that.
Uh, so I have 4 plays in your career that I picked that I loved, and that Titan fans loved. But one of the games
Okay.
has nothing to do with it, but it was a game in 2013 game. I think it was week 3, San Diego Chargers. Okay, it's
Okay.
supposedly again, things change, and I want to hear from you if this is true or
Okay.
not. Reportedly, that you led the team in a rally using references from the film 300. Is that true?
Yes, I'm a very dramatic person. I'm, I'm a very
Oh, you're
dramatic
not,
person,
Nate.
man. And I'll say this, man. I remember that was right around the time it first came out.
Mhm.
So literally, I remember literally warming up, feeling like Leonidas. You understand what I'm saying? I'm walking around. I got this look on my face. I'm not even talking to my teammates. They getting pumped up. They dancing. I'm just pacing back and forth. Like I'm looking at the Chargers like lunch meat, I done entered this whole character in my mind. So we get to the huddle, man, and I just remember telling them like they basically like they are not built like us because this was what we was built to do. You know what I'm saying? And definitely used a couple lines references from 300 and we rolled that thing out, man. But the funny thing about it is the 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 response that I got wasn't expected. They loved it. Like I
Oh,
thought,
yeah.
they used to pick on, especially CJ. Oh, he used to pick on me all the time. Whenever I would have like a jumbotron post or something that I would have to do for Titans media, oh, he would pick on me all the time. But like even him, he like, bro, you gotta give me some more of that this week, bro. I'll be like, what? Y'all like that? So it was dope, man. My teammates responded to it well. And I kind of tried to ride that thing out as much as possible, to be honest, for the rest of the season.
I mean, look, they still use and that's one thing I never got why they never used that throughout the game and stuff like, little quotes here and
Yeah.
there. Because they usually do like, little movie like clips and stuff. I'm like, and they, every time we get a first down, we're like, oh, like
You're
I don't
right.
understand why they didn't kind of keep going with that. That got me pumped up, not compared to like, no offense to Johnny Cash, love Johnny Cash, but we played Fulton Street
Yeah.
fourth quarter. I mean, it's a classic, but damn, I ain't gonna pump up anyone.
Let me say this to you, man. I used to complain all the time. Now, I love the fans. Like the fans were amazing. But the entertainment in the stadium, I used to despise. Like, oh my God. Like I would complain all the time. And I was a little bit spoiled too. I'm coming from Pittsburgh. They got
They're
renegade.
a little bit, yeah, they're a little bit.
Yeah. I got a little spoiled, but it's still at the same time, like we would switch so much. I remember we would go from playing, and I have no problem before I say this. I have absolutely no problem with any genre of music, but it was just the switch ups. We would go from playing one Sunday we would play all pop music. The next Sunday we play all hip hop. The next Sunday we'll have a live country band. And you'll be like, what's going on? Like, we don't have no structure here. Like, I can't even, a lot of these songs I don't know, even the rap songs they playing. I'm like, these are rap songs y'all picking? So man, I hope, and I seen they've gravitated a little more to the 300 niche, a little more, been using some of the things. I think that's cool, man. I actually tried to use it last year again when I went up there to pose the crowd for the fourth quarter. So don't judge me.
Nice. I'm glad you should have had the whole ghetto, man. That's all you needed.
Yeah,
bro.
they should have, man. Should have had me out there like that.
You know, to be honest, that's a badass movie. It's still a good movie to this day. They got some good quotes, and if it's
no question.
If there's a movie that was like built on testosterone and you want to go work out, you watch that movie and you're good.
As we used to say back in my day of playing, make you run through a brick wall, man.
Exactly. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the catches that you had, some of the touchdowns, okay? And then this is crazy because, like I said, we talked a little bit about QBs and different quarterbacks. And I'm going to go from not, anything out of this world, just kind of what I have. Let's talk about the Vince Young Dallas Cowboys game in Dallas. It was a bomb to you, and you remember that play? You snatched it, brought it in.
Yes.
Man.
Let me say this, man. You don't understand. Like, I met a coach later in my tenure with the Titans, Sean Jefferson, that had a saying that I kind of was already on, but I didn't know the saying. And it's literally like, you got to stay ready to keep from getting ready. Stay ready to keep from getting ready. Because running that play in practice, I never got that ball. I never got that ball thrown to me in practice, right? So here it is, we caught a play in the huddle, and I just know they're going to the flats or he's going to go to the little outcut to give us the first down. But BY, once again, like, man, this dude believed in me so much, man, from the first day I met him. Like, I could tell stories on stories, but let me stay focused. So we caught a play, I break the huddle, and as I'm coming off the line, I got off coverage. So I know I'm going to be able to stem him to the point where I can have enough space to give BY a chance to throw it if he did want to throw it. It's not hard route. Like, I can stem him and be able to run my corner route. So I run a corner route, and the guy, Orlando Scandrick, is trailing me. And so they're in cover, like, they're like a two-man type of, but whoever vacated the empty side of the field, I have it open. So when I come out of my break, I'm running, but I'm not running because also I'm running out of real estate too. If I'm running my hardest, I'm going to run out of bounds, right? So I look up and I see this ball, and I'm like, did he just throw this? Did he really just throw this? Sure enough, man, I look up, bro, and that ball was coming, and all I could think to myself was, hold on, let me make this play, because I knew Orlando didn't see where the ball was. And even back in college, I had, if I must say so myself, I had an amazing ability to track the ball jumping. Okay. Being able to jump and catch a ball was always my thing, So I look up, and that ball's coming, and he's hugging on me a little bit, and all I'm thinking is, oh, you in trouble. So when I went up to make it, and I was able to put my hands over his helmet, and his hands were outside, I said, oh, yeah, this is sick. And then I got a little hit, and when I was able to come down, oh, man, that feeling, especially because they had just opened that stadium, like, I think the year before or something, they had just opened that stadium, and we came into that game, obviously, every commentator walking was counting us out, right? I was pissed because, honestly, I felt like we should have blew them out that day. Damn, Miles Austin had a day, and I was like, Jesus, freaking Miles Austin?
Miles Austin.
Oh, that pissed me off. But, man, that catching itself in that atmosphere, being able to look up at that stadium when that happened, the energy when I came to the sideline. I know everybody loves the Detroit catch, but I'm going to be honest with you, that might be my favorite catch.
Now we have another one. It's from the Jets game against. I know that Ryan Fitzpatrick goes back, tosses one. It's you, the Jet defender, and the referee, and you jump, you catch it over the ref and over the Jet defender. You kind of pile drive, you pull down the referee and the Jets, and you just sail on to the end zone. How was that?
Man,
that was
first of all, let me say this. Antonio Cromartie hates me today for that catch. That's a good friend of mine, but man, he talk about that catch all the time when we online, and it's funny, man, because we're such good friends now. But man, I respected him so much as a player, and to be honest with you, here's a tidbit about what happened with that play.
okay.
So earlier, Jake was playing.
Mm-hmm.
Jake hurts his foot. Rex Ryan is on the sideline going off like, yeah, we hurt your quarterback. Yeah, da-da-da. So I walk past the sideline. I'm like, I tell Rex, I'm like, this what a head coach on? Yeah. I said, you up here? I said, all right. And we were already up on it, right? Yeah, so I had all my juices start flowing again. So now Ryan gets in, and I'm telling our OC at the time, I'm like, hey, listen, when I'm in a tight split, they're sitting. Like, I can run right by them. Like, I promise you I can run right by them. Just let me run my move post from the tight split, and we'll be able to beat them. Now, mind you, we up. But here it is, we call that play. And it was raining a little bit. So I'm thinking like, oh, man, I don't know if this is going to really work out. I'm going to ask them to call this play, but I don't know if it's going to really work out. So call the snap. I come off the line. Sure enough, I run down Cromartie, and he's squatting. So I move him. And I run right by him. Now Cromartie is a fast guy too. He's trying to open up his stride to come catch me. But at this point, the ball is in the air. Mm-hmm. And it's sprinkling outside. So I'm like, oh my God. Like, I know he's long. Cromartie was like 6'3", 6'4". So I'm like, oh my God, this ball is thrown to the point where I'm going to really have to protect my body. I can't, because like I said, I love going up with my hands and catching the ball, but it's raining. I know he's going to try to come and break it up. Mm-hmm. So I know there's no safety back there at the time, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, there's nobody on this side of me as I'm looking this way. There's nobody over here. So now all I'm really worried about is Cromartie, making sure I shield him enough to give me enough space to catch the ball over here. Because I know if I try to catch it like this, he's going to break that up, right? So, boom, I get that accomplished. I jump a little bit. If you go look at the clip, I jump a little bit. I bump him, and I catch the ball over here, right? And as I'm bringing it in, I get hit. Boom. I turn around. As I'm going down, I was able to put my hand on the ref's shoulder. And I put my hand and I was able to keep my balance, right? And as I'm running, you'll see me look back because I'm still running fast because I thought Cromartie was still up. Mm. So in my mind at that instant, even while I'm running, I'm like, man, this ref done fucked up my touchdown. So, boom, I peek back. I see Cromartie down. And, man, I was able to get my ball flipped. But it was crazy because there were a couple of times in my career that I was running blind to catch a ball and end up hitting somebody, and it didn't hurt me at all. And I was surprised because it would be like, dang, like maybe if I was cognizant of them coming, I might not even have wanted to catch that ball knowing I was going to get hit like that. But, man, I was able to bounce off that ref.
Against the Saints, I think Vince Young threw it. You caught it, and they had another defender coming. Hit you, but you bounced back and went into
that was Jake Locker. That was my guy, Jake. Yeah, that was when I had that high ankle sprain, man. One of the worst seasons of my career physically, but one of the best seasons of my career statistically. Like, that was the only season of my career I went over 1,000.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your touchdown celebration, the little flip. All right. So we have this man right here, who's Ryan Tannehill, who's a little stiff, right? He does this shit kind of the white boy style. He kind of does this shit like straight. He don't move. He have a little bit more swag to it.
Yeah.
Where did that? Was that something you picked up? You're like, you know what, this is gonna be like my signature, or it's just something that kind of stuck, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do it every time.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Okay.
He used to have a ball flip like that when he used to come and do it like that, but he would always flick that ball like that when he was holding his head. So I
Okay.
was like, ooh, I felt like he was saying, like, I made this look easy like a layup.
It's like,
So that was my thing. Like when I catch it and I go for a touchdown, I wanted to make it feel like it was a layup. It's easy. So like if I'm gonna be in the layup and that line and I'm gonna go do some nasty, freaky layup and
uh-huh.
spin the ball crazy, that's the same way I'm gonna do the daggone football. I'm gonna put some English on it.
Nice. Yeah, the old finger roll. Like I said, you might have to teach Ryan Tannehill a little bit,
Right. Hey,
more.
don't kill me. I need to grab a charger.
No,
Don't kill
go
me.
ahead. Go get a charger. Man, that Tannehill, that's straight up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He got his own little sauce. I ain't gonna
I
knock
mean,
him.
everyone got their own thing. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 2014 Week 11. No. Yes, Week 11 against your former team. Zach Mettenberger drops an 80-yard pass. You catch it, you just go all the way. It was obviously a broken play, right? How did
Yeah.
that feel? And just going through that process of, hey, man, there's no one here. What's happening? It was right before halftime. I remember that game because I was watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't a broken play.
It wasn't?
We put this in on Wednesday. It was a stop and go. Like, man, we had at the time we had Ken Wizard Hunt. I'm sorry, fans. I know. I know. I know. I'm sorry, but I just got to tell the truth about what happened. But
Hey,
anyway,
that was hard. I might have to block that part. Ooh, Ken Wizard, go ahead.
but at the time, Ken Whisenhunt was my offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. Um, my rookie year when we actually won the Super Bowl. So building up for the game, we were playing Pittsburgh. It's Wednesday, and we called to play in practice. And Wiz comes up to me in practice, and he's like, "Hey, I'm telling you right now, when I'm gonna call this play right before half, if we got the ball." He said, if I put you in tight and I see they got Will Gay on you,
Mhm.
he said, hey, you just shoot him the deuces because I know he's gonna bite all over it.
Oh,
Right? No lie. So here it is, we getting the ball right before half, like you said, and Ken like, hey, this is it. What I've told you, this is it. And we break the huddle, we call the play. We break the huddle, and sure enough, I look up and there's Will Gay. And Will Gay is like a little brother to me. Like I had so many guys over there that man were still brothers to me, man. That man, like even Ryan Clark would try. It was so funny. He would try to talk mess to me in a game, and I would be laughing because I couldn't take him serious. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was literally like his little brother. His wife used to make me brownies all the time for our away games. So here it is now that a couple years later, he's like, yeah, I'm about to break you up. I'm like, big bro. Like, so at the time, like, man, I remember breaking the huddle and it was cold as shit. Oh, it was cold as shit out there that night. But man, I remember breaking the huddle and looking up and being like, oh, he over here by himself and they running quarters. He about to sit all on this curl. I was like, man, just don't rush it because being that it was cold, I didn't want it to make it too far of a throw for Zach.
okay.
But like I did many times, underestimated the gun of Zach Mettenberger. That dude had a huge arm, man. But I sit it down, run my curl stop, and he sits all over it. And I'm like, oh, bye-bye. And throws the ball, I catch it, and everybody was assuming that I was pointing at the Pittsburgh crowd when I was running. But what it actually was I used to have a suite in the stadium on that side.
Okay.
And my whole family was there. Some of them was in Pittsburgh jerseys, some of them was in Titans jerseys. So I was just pointing at them, man. It was such a great moment for me. Anytime that I was able to perform well against those guys, being in Tennessee, going against Pittsburgh, it was always something that I relished.
Well, nice, man. Nice. Again,
Yeah.
it was one of those plays. And let's talk about obviously the one that everyone always talks about that, is the Jake Locker throw over the helmet, get it, and just dip. And that
Yeah,
game
man.
stayed by
So,
itself. That was wild, man.
man, I guess that's where I would start at with the story of that catch
Right?
in itself is just like that whole game, man, everything, big play after big play after big play after big play after big play. And I remember leaving the huddle that play and going, I was in the slot to the left, and I remember looking up and they were in single high. And Jacob Lacey, the guy that was guarding me, was sitting inside. And I'm thinking to myself, like, are they in man? If he's sitting in man, because the route that I had, Jay could have threw it outside the numbers over my head, and I would have still been able to make the play because the guy on the outside of me had a short route. So I knew I basically had from the hash mark all the way to the sideline a catch and go ball. So I'm like, oh, this is a big opportunity. So boom, ball gets snapped. I look up, man, and I'm running. And I used to, by that time, I had become very, very football IQ aware. And one of the main things DBs do to you when they're off coverage and you run up to you, they love collisions. They love to put their hand on you a little bit so they can throw off your running and balance you. So I was used to that at that time. So you go look at the clip, you'll see me come up on him, and he went to put his arm up, and I knocked it down. I knocked it down immediately because I knew that's what they always do, and I was prepared for it. So I knocked it down, and right when I knocked it down, I peeked back and seen the ball coming. And at this time, man, we used to do this a lot in practice, man. I love amazing catches. I love going after absolutely any ball and being able to try to catch it. And if you make that catch, having people be like, how you make that catch? Right. So at the time, looking at the ball coming, and I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be a touchdown, Jake. Just throw it up high. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to just give it a try. Now, at this time, man, in the weight room, I had never been working on my hands as much as I ever been working on. Me and Steve Watterson had a whole Friday hand strengthening routine where I would catch weights, fingertip push-ups, roll up newspapers with my hands, with my fingers to make my fingers stronger. He had so many different exercises. Steve Watterson had so many different exercises for me to make my hands stronger. And no lie, man, every ball that almost hit my hands that year, it made it simple for me, man. I just was thinking, just put your hands back there and see what happens. And I jumped, and where he was at up under me, it allowed me to actually reach over top of him. Because if I would have jumped and we were body to body, I would have been trying to trap it behind him this way. But when I jumped, he was so much shorter than me, honestly, that he kind of got nuzzled right in my body and was able to allow me to reach. And I swear to you, to this day, I'm not going to lie, I did not see that ball go in my hand. I felt it and I trapped it immediately. Like soon as it hit my fingertips, I squeezed it and then I pulled it over his head. And I've had plays like that. No lie, another play like that in college where it was my second year, and it's going to sound so outrageous. I know fans are going to be on my head about this, but it's actually happened to me. The same exact positioning with the guy, and I reached over his helmet, and right when it bounced off his helmet, I trapped it, caught it, pulled it over his head, and ran in for a touchdown. So, like, that happened to me in college, and then it happened to me that day. And I run in and I'm looking back, and if you see on the clip, I almost dropped the ball. So you'll see me push it back in my hand because I'm carrying it with one hand, flick the ball, and I go to the sideline. Everybody's in an uproar. And all I'm sitting there thinking, like, this catch not going to mean shit if we lose this game, right? So here it is. Calvin catches the balls he catches to put them in shooting range. Titus Young catches the Hail Mary. I'm like, man, I just had one of the greatest catches of my life. And it's going to mean absolutely nothing to me. Like, we lost this game, it's going to mean nothing. So we pull the game out, man, and we get the win. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, like, I know I may not ever be a Hall of Famer. I know I may not, ever be in anybody's ring of honor, but dude, like, that catch in itself, I'm shocked of you, and I'm proud of you, and the fans in itself, my family, everybody shows me all the time how much they reverence that catch and appreciate it. So I appreciate you guys.
Hey, man, regardless, you're a Hall of Famer in our books. You are in the Ring of Honor in our
appreciate it.
Don't matter, brother. All right, don't say
appreciate
that.
It.
Say that, bro.
Appreciate it. I'm a realist, baby. I'm a realist. I know I put in work, but I'm a realist.
Before we get to the questions and stuff, again, like I said, towards the end, we have questions that the fans ask. All right, the first fan wants to know. Like I said, if it's something that we kind of covered and stuff, we'll just brush it real quick, just nice and easy. But so Two-Tone Blue Blood wants to know which QB in your time with the talents was the most talented, and
with the Titans.
Yeah.
With all due respect, it was probably Matt Hasselbeck. He was his IQ, his football IQ, his accuracy. He didn't have the strongest arm. He didn't have one of the strongest arms, but he was so decisive and knew pre-snap reads to the point where if you did have a goal, he might not be able to throw you a 60-yard bomb, but you'll be catching that thing at 40 yards in stride because he's got the ball out there early and knew it should be open. So I think, of all, Matt Hasselbeck was probably the best guy that I played against. Our communication, our understanding of each other, our abilities. I think even at that point in my career, I was a lot more focused on upping my IQ. And I was able to really read into my QBs, understand what they were thinking, and know what was going on at the time. So me and him had a great rapport, and I think it would definitely be met.
Haley has a question. She wants to know, what was his relationship like with Jake Locker? It always seemed like they had great chemistry and a lot of trust. And you have time and time, I've seen on Twitter, again, you come and you defend Jake and you say that, and that's cool. That's cool. That's awesome.
Hey, Twitter people, I will fight y'all about Jake Locker. Y'all hear me?
There you go. You heard him.
That's my guy. Once again, you're talking about a guy with the will and the passion to be great. I think a lot of times, unfortunately, fans don't understand. We as players, we have no control over whether our body is going to be durable or not. And he suffers so many injuries, at a point where he just couldn't take it anymore. You go through the mental criticism to only end up giving your all to people that don't appreciate you at a point, especially if I'm honest with you, once you become financially stable, at a point, you're going to be like, hey, man, I'm out. It was fun.
Yeah.
But I got other things that I could be doing, that I could be great in life. I could be great at being a family man. I could be great at being a husband, a father, in my immediate community, taking care of my family and those people. And that's just what he did, and I've said this before, I as much as I love Jake, I really feel like he was on the unfortunate demise. He was the unfortunate demise of a microwave society, right? Because in my personal opinion, Jake Locker was not a first-round draft pick. And on top of what they were asking Jake Locker to do, Jake Locker was coming from Washington. He wasn't putting up 4,000 yards throwing and 1,500 yards rushing. You understand what I'm saying? We're coming from Vince Young era, and to now you want another guy that's capable of being and doing what Vince Young was able to do. When the reality of it is, he may be able to grow to that, but you can't expect him immediately to come in and be able to perform that. And saying that, it was just like, I feel like he pressed so hard at times it broke down his body. He always wanted to go above and beyond. I'm instantly reminded of the jump against the Saints when he tried to go, for the touchdown and he took the big hit. It was a touchdown, but that's what the kind of guy Jake was. So I'm always willing to fight for Jake because, man, I'm always willing to go to war with that guy. It was so many times. I remember we played against Atlanta the one year, his first touchdown in the NFL. We were down like 17 points in the fourth quarter or something like that. And I remember it might have been like 8 minutes left or something in the game. And he came down to me and he was just getting in. He was like, all right, man, let's go. Let's get in. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm tapped out. I'm ready to get this over with. Like, I'm just trying to make it through a year healthy. But his want to in that moment made me instantly pick myself back up, get ready, and was able to catch his first touchdown for him on a corner route and take it to the end zone. And if we would have had at least one more possession, one more minute, we might have won that game, man. He put us in that position. So that's what type of guy Jake is, and that's why I was always ready to go to war for him.
The last one before we let you go, it's CMR. It's not a question, but he just wanted to let you know how much appreciated by Titan fans around the world you are. Again, he lives in Germany. He's a German Titan, and
Oh, that's cool.
it's cool, man, that this fan base is just all over. I went last year to London and stuff, and it was really really cool just to see everyone together, man. And like I said,
But,
you will always be forever two-tone blue Titan in the Hall of Fame forever.
I appreciate that, man.
But
Appreciate that, man. You know, you and all the fans, man, have really shown me. You know, I remember days, no lie, especially I know everybody quotes my time as one of the worst times of the two-tone blue. And I understand, like, we definitely gave you guys a hard time, but I definitely remember times of not having team success and individually going out there thinking to myself, like, Nate, you don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's going to later appreciate your effort, man. Just give everything you have. So now to receive some of that love back from you guys, man, has been tremendous. I am forever thankful whenever I get some love from you guys, whether it's online, in person, whatever it is. I'm forever grateful. And I'm humbled by the experience, you know, from a kid that didn't have dreams of playing football to being here with Mr. Titan talking about my old days. Dope, bro. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. And God bless and tighten up, brother, right?
Same to you. Tighten up, bro.